How to stop negative thinking. Welcome to the Hopefulist with me, Wendy McClure. This is where we turn those nasty, negative thoughts into positive and work toward a happy, fulfilled life. Now, let's get started. Indeed, let's get started. Oh, we got the first really cool day. Started yesterday. We had a mad rainstorm come in, and afterwards, whoo, big change in the air. Yeah, temperatures dropped like 10, 15 degrees. And overnight, it was definitely the chilliest of the year. I got my sweatshirt on. Whew. I'm not ready. I'm going to embrace it. But I'm not ready. So I'm going to change my language. It's here. It's now. Time to let it flow. So even though I do prefer the warmer weather, it's not terrible. I mean, certainly can't go out in shorts and a tank top right now, but we'll probably have a couple more of those days before it truly gets cold. So let's try and embrace the now, right? Let's think about all of the benefits of the cooler weather. I brought it up before. I'll bring it up again. Good hair days. I'm having super good hair days, and I like it. I like it a lot. Talking about the quote of the day, a long one for you today. You can control your thoughts and actions, and this is what you need to focus on to shift your reality. The people who complain and blame, is that blame plane? That's hard to say. Blame plane, stay stuck. The people that blame and complain stay stuck. The economy swirling down the toilet right now. Of course, my new business is tanking. How the heck are my thoughts supposed to control that? Well, I'll tell you. Instead of upgrading mindsets and demanding of yourself and the universe that things start to change, you insist that everything is out of your control. You hand all your power over to your circumstances instead of taking responsibility and changing your life yourself. That's how it goes. No, you cannot change situations. You cannot control situations. You can only control yourself and how you handle these situations and changes that are getting thrown at you. And it all ties into today's topic. And I'm talking about how to stop the negative thinking. I actually have gotten this information from an email that I get every day. I must have signed up for it at some point. I have no idea. I have been getting it for a very long time, but it's Change That Up. Transform your life, create a positive change for you and your loved ones. And they are talking about how to stop negative thinking. And I wanted to go over this because it's so good. Self-defeating thoughts can be short-lived or part of a condition we actively work to manage, often anxiety and depression. Either way, they don't feel good. We all have them, and it's important to catch ourselves when we start to notice them. We can do this by working as our own fact checker. We do this with major debates, the news, and when someone else tells us something that we're not sure is true. Now, the crazy thing about this is that we generally don't do this when it comes to our own thoughts or internal monologue. We assume these thoughts and ideas are 100% accurate, even when they're not. So, distinguish the difference. We have the ability to think critically when we're talking about watching a debate, the news, or when somebody's telling us something we've never heard before, we have the ability to say, hey, wait a minute. I'm not sure about that. I don't know if that makes sense. And then you go and research it, right? And you get confirmation. But that's not how it works with the thoughts in our own head when we're talking about ourselves. As much as we would like to believe our own thoughts are always the truth, the fact is sometimes they're just not. It's not facts. These specific negative and untrue thoughts are called cognitive distortions. Specifically, these are thoughts that reinforce negative thinking patterns that generally have little to no basis in reality. Essentially, they are the words of our inner critic, not the voice of truth. So every nasty, horrible thing we say about ourselves in our own head or out loud to the mirror, we believe. We don't try and fact check that. We don't try to critically think of whether that's actually true. We just take it. We just think that must be true. If I'm thinking it, it must be true. And that's where we veer off course. As much as we would like to believe, according to the Psych Central, some of the most common distortions are called filtering, polarized thinking, and overgeneralizing. Now, the best way to arm yourself against these distortions, recognize when they're happening, and then get inside your own head. Everybody's telling you to get outside of your head. Get inside your head when this is happening. Don't be scared to tell yourself your thoughts are wrong, especially when they are self-defeating. Now, you can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. Don't you want to have your own back? Yeah, sounds like a good idea to me. Let's take a closer look at these three cognitive distortions and how we can better arm ourselves to deconstruct them. The first one I mentioned, filtering. This is when we selectively filter out all positive instances and only focus on the negative. You know how it goes. You're in that meeting. Your boss tells you 10 things that you're great at. Oh, you did a great job with this. You're always doing this. I love that you are like this. And then he tells you one area for growth, or she tells you one area for growth. And that's all you can think about. There are 10 positives, but all you can think about is the one negative. This is filtering. Instead of focusing on the area for growth, that one negative, write down the 10 things that you were complimented on and focus on these. Now, this happens to me a lot when I'm playing pickleball. I can make a great shot, and it's not just me, it's all of us. We can make a great shot. We can make 3 great shots in a row, but we make one shot that goes out of bounds, and we're like, I stink. Ugh, I'm just awful. We all do it. It's the people that can figure out how to stop that recording and that incessant negative self-talk that improve their lives. We are much better off building our strengths than we are focusing on one thing that we're not great at. Because we're not perfect. We are not going to be great at every single thing. As much as we would like to think that, it's truly not possible. And it's okay to be mindful of your growth areas, but it's not so great when you let them consume you. So when we focus on our strengths, growth areas often improve as a result. Note how they're being called growth areas and not weaknesses, because words matter. So use words that build you up, not tear you down. So that's one example, a great example. Instead of saying there was one negative, say there was one weakness. It's not as harsh. Polarized thinking. Yep, black and white. Oh, have I been guilty of this? Black and white, right and wrong. If you're not first, you're last. I either do everything at the gym or nothing at all. This is polarized thinking. The best way to combat it, focus on progress, not perfection. I just said this to someone yesterday. Progress, not perfection. Success is in the details. And keeping a gratitude journal. Gratitude journal. Where have I heard that before? Right? Or list of victories over the course of the week makes a big difference. Changed my life. Totally changed my life. Consistency is essential to achieving any goal. Not being perfect. Be consistent, not perfect. So the more we practice consistency and progress in anything, whether it be work, health goals, relationships, the better off we'll be at it. I don't know how many times we have to tell ourselves this, but every little bit counts. Anything else is just polarized thinking. It's okay to live in the gray area. First time I ever went to therapy, I remember my therapist telling me that. She said, you think in very black and white terms. Really? What does that mean, by the way? I had no idea what she was talking about. I had very little self-awareness before I got into therapy. And that is one of the reasons why I highly recommend it to anybody who can afford it, because even if you don't have something specific that you need to work on, it's just always so good to have someone to talk to about any of the struggles, small or large, that are going on in your life. How to live life better. So if you can get into a little therapy, I think that's incredible and something that everybody should do. Overgeneralization, taking one instance of something happening and applying the result to all other areas is generalizing. Now, the author of this email says that she actually did that with CrossFit. She went to one specific gym, had a terrible experience, and swore it off for good. Not just that specific center, but all of CrossFit for the rest of her life. And she goes on to say, to be honest, I still haven't gone back, and this is something that I need to give another shot. I can't take one bad coach or exercise class and apply it to every coach and gym out there. Scientists don't take one finding in a small sample and then announce it to the world as the absolute truth. And neither should we. It's just bad science. So, to wrap things up, investigate your thoughts and refute them. If you catch yourself having self-doubt in any area, be sure to examine why. And then look for the positives. The more we focus on this, the more we hardwire the pathways to positive thinking and make it part of our natural thinking process. Wouldn't it be awesome to get up every morning and think good things about ourselves and good things about our day instead of dreading it and thinking that it's going to be awful? That's the cool part about our brains. The more we focus on something, the more hardwired it becomes. So if we think positive, we're going to be positive. And it's the same vice versa. This is why people who are negative and pessimistic get bogged down into it. They can't get out because it's all they focus on. And hence, that is why the gratitude journal helped me particularly so much. It got me out of the mindset of constantly looking of what I don't have to appreciating what I do have. I've been trying to convince you to start a gratitude journal for 3 years now, so I cannot extol how much it is a factor in turning your thoughts around. So, be a mad scientist. Destroy the so-called facts that you have not confirmed in your brain. Don't be afraid to question your own thinking. After all, we know ourselves best. And if we don't call ourselves out on our own BS, who will? Right? It's up to us. We have to be the ones to do it. And this really couldn't come at a better time because I have just announced that I am hosting a self-talk overhaul. That's right, a self-talk overhaul. I want to get you to stop talking bad and negative to and about yourself. And this is going to be a free 3-day challenge starting on October 10th. So you've got plenty of time to prepare for it. Meanwhile, I am doing a live every single day on Instagram with a preview of what this challenge is going to look like. We're in the actual challenge, which again starts Monday, October the 10th. We're going to be talking about who are you? What are your values? What qualities do you want to embody? We're going to be talking about stop making yourself small. You are entitled to say what you feel, to speak your truth, speak your mind about your truth, and be unapologetically you. And finally, we're going to learn how to switch that language like we have just been talking about. We're going to flip that script. The more that you do this, the more that you stop yourself with the negative thought and correct it to a positive thought, the faster the change will come. It's just that simple. So I hope that you are intrigued. Stay tuned. I've got a ton more information coming up. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. The challenge, again, October 10th. October 10th is the start. 3-day, free-day challenge. If you would like to sign up now, which I think you should, there is no reason to wait. Go to hopefulist.com/subscribe. And you know what? I may even give early subscribers, early signups, a little bit of a bonus. Give you a little incentive there to sign up early. So, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for taking the time to spend. I hope that if you haven't already, you like and follow this podcast. Hit that little subscribe or follow button. Please share it with your friends. And I want you to go out there this week and I want you to be badass because I know you are. I'll be right here cheering you on. Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist. Now, don't you feel good? Make sure you come back next week. See you then.